Welcome to our second video on learning from Ark of Osiris League. Now the first video was about mid-fights, where to position. You can check that out in our playlist. Now this one is going to be about starting strategies. The match we picked for this is 1008 versus 1021. Both teams has been having an exceptional time in Osiris League so far, so we pick these two for that reason. And secondly, it looks like a match that's quite evenly matched up, so there's a little bit of a power difference, but not too much that would influence strategies. So look at that beauty, all those marches coming out at the same time. So at the start you obviously have your T1 marches with Cow and probably Dragon Lancer coming out. That's to capture the obelisk fast. And the people that are going to capture the obelisks and the people that are going to rally, you want to have them as alliance leaders or warlord or counselor, because these are the three positions that actually gets positions in the first three spots at the time of registration for normal Ark at least. Now you can see the cow going, using the caravans to jump off, and then that's how you get to your obelisks fast. Now these are the very basics that everyone kind of does. So why are we watching this? We want to see how popular is the hard push nowadays, because there are two strategies. In one of them you use hard push at the beginning and you pressure on enemy buildings, and then the second strategy being where rather than using hard push you save it so that you have more points for the initial middle fight. Now we want to see whether both of the teams actually use it, how well they use it, and how are they positioning their marches to support that strategy. Now you can see the obelisks being touched and you have all the marches coming out. Now let's have a look at where are those marches going. So on the blue side you have 1021, and you can see the blue marches are actually going towards the enemy desert altar. So all of them are heading towards the enemy desert altar. Now in terms of the rallies, we briefly had a look and we have all the usual rallies. So you have two rallies on your obelisks and you have two rallies on the enemy obelisks from both sides. Now one of the extra things that 1008 is doing is they have an rally on an enemy outpost. Now that's just to get the marches on the other side faster. We will see whether that strategy has a lot of output. That's not necessarily a common strategy though. Now on the other side we do have 1008 going towards the enemy obelisk. So normally you cancel the rally, the obelisk rally, so that you can stop and surround the enemy desert altar and you kind of try to put pressure on it. But from the looks of it, 1008 is actually trying to go all the way. Now this is not a common strategy. Sometimes, rarely, as a surprise move it does have some benefits, but otherwise it's not necessarily that common. Now let's have a look at how it kind of works out. Now I think I forgot to mention, but you may have seen it on the screen already, that both teams actually used hard push. So basically this was a good match to pick, to see how you can kind of go with hard push in the beginning and then how your initial building pressure kind of plays out. Now the obelisk being under pressure, does that take away the pressure from the desert altar from 1008 side? Yes it does, because there aren't as many marches on the desert altar, but then at the same time they're going for the shrine on the enemy side as well. So 1008 is going out quite aggressively, and you can see quite a lot of marches going out as well. Now in terms of the pressure from 1021, we can see that they're heavily pressuring the desert altar, but that's the only building they are heavily focusing on. So it kind of feels like the strategy from 1021 is a bit more centralized towards taking one specific building, and that's the desert altar. And because they're focusing on one specific building, there's a good chance they'll have a better luck. As you can see, there are more blue marches near that desert altar than there is red, but that's meant to be a red building. Now there are some kind of pointless fightings going on. I mean, I say pointless because they're not kind of fighting for a building but just outside. But over here you do have a very purposeful fighting. You have 1008 taking the shrine of life from the enemy side, but then definitely they're not going to get first occupation out of it. Now in terms of the desert altar, I think it looks like it's blue now, but it may switch hands. But more importantly, the 1008 desert altar actually looks like it belongs to 1021 now, and it's not going to change hands. There's a good chance, based on the marches present there, they'll get the first occupation. So until the first middle fight, the main thing that you're trying to get out of this is who gets the first occupations. I think you get about 750 or something like that. It's quite a large amount of points that you get out of first occupation, so you want to get your buildings, and obviously it's a bonus if you get it out of an enemy building. Now there is not much of a pressure anymore on any of the blue buildings. Nope, blue has all the buildings from their side, and there's a good chance blue is gonna get at least one, maybe two, definitely one, and maybe two first occupation from the red side. Now in terms of a strategy, I think, not obviously I'm not an expert, I'm just talking about what I can see on the screen, and these are the two of the better teams that are well matched, so that's why we picked this. So based on the gameplay that I can see now, 1008 strategy of trying to go for quite a few buildings including the obelisks may not have been the best play when it comes to taking the first occupation, whereas 1021 did a better job in terms of the initial strategy of getting the first occupation. Now in terms of the quality of the marches, I do have to say though, and this is something that you probably didn't see so far in this match so far, but then I'm recording this after and I've seen the whole match, and I have a feeling that 1021 has much better quality of marches. What I mean by that is commanders and equipment. When I saw some of the rallies, that's how it kind of felt like. So I'm not too sure whether that played a role in this, but in general blue seemed a bit more coordinated, and blue is 1021. By the way, I'm more of a fan of 1008, and that's where I put a big bet and I lost it. But then at the same time, I'm kind of happy how good 1021 played, and then the fact that we picked this match, because everything that we wanted to talk about starting strategies we can kind of see here. Now the other part of the starting strategies is not only taking the enemy building. After taking the enemy building, you obviously have to have a garrison pair that can hold the building so that you can get the first occupation. Now the first occupation, blue from the looks of it took 2 out of the red side, so they got extra 2, and now red is kind of trying to take it back. Now when that happens, the follow-on effect that you somewhat have is, because blue took the first occupation, after taking the first occupation they may be in a better spot to position in the middle earlier than the other team, and that's exactly what you can see here. So blue 1021 has positioned themselves in a better spot, so on the other side of where the Ark of Osiris is going to spawn, and they have a lot more numbers in there. And even in terms of per minute points, it does look like 1021 is a little bit ahead. Now that should even up, I guess, now, because the buildings are somewhat even now. So basically that would be the end of the starting strategy bit of it. But now what we're going to see is how much of an impact does that have on the initial middle fight positioning. So there are quite a few random things happening, such as 1 or 2 marches trying to take the obelisk. they probably won't have that much of a meaningful impact. Now we can see that yes, as much as the blue team, who focused on only pressuring on one enemy building at first, did manage to get more marches in the middle earlier, so they have a better positioning. But then I would say that didn't hamper red as much, 1008 as much, because they are there in the middle with probably a few more marches, and the only thing that got impacted by it is probably the positioning. So blue managed to take that position a little bit earlier. Now the reason why blue has a few less marches in the middle, other than being an impact from the starting, is blue is actually kind of pressuring randomly here and there. You can see one of the enemy shrines, or one of the red shrines, actually belong to blue. So I think this is where we can kind of start summarizing what we saw. So using hard push in the beginning is still a very common and standard strategy that still leaves you with at least 2 skills that you can use in the middle fight for the first arc. So you can use war drums and you can use mystical formations. This is exactly what we see being used more often. And then you, I guess, can try to put your strategy in a way where you're probably pressuring on maybe one building, unless you're a very coordinated team, in which case maybe 2. Now in the red team's case, I think we saw a pressure a bit more spread out, more around 3 or 4 buildings, and that probably impacted their ability to take any buildings from the opposition, or at least hold it till getting the first occupation. So the red team, by diluting their focus, missed out on taking any enemy buildings, and on the counter side lost 2 of their initial buildings. So even if you can delay the first occupation, that's a bonus. But then what blue kind of did by focusing on one specific enemy building is they got their own buildings, and not only they delayed, they got the first occupation as well. And even in terms of the middle fight, now this is not necessarily as related to the starting, but you can't kind of stop a video at a beautiful middle fight. So I kind of want to get a hint of which direction it's going, and it does look like it's going towards the blue direction, which will be pretty bad for the red team. Now just looking at the middle marches, what I was saying initially, the quality of marches from the blue side may be slightly better in terms of the commanders popping up. Now hope you like this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe for more of these videos. Bye for now.